Hello, Lisa.
Hi there, Bach. How you doing?
Good. Recovering slowly from the cold slash presumed COVID. Thank
So
you.
my suggestion didn't help rapidly last week.
Oh, I don't know. Oh, but let me open with this. I, um, Lisa gave me advice, which I disobeyed. She said, "Oh, I recommend you don't do any like Tylenol because it's better for your," and the same advice from my naturopath and all the nurses. And then I felt bad from the illness, and then I thought, "F Lisa and my naturopath and all these nurses." I took a Tylenol, which gave me pleasure, and I felt good about it and proud, and I just wanted to share that.
Good
Okay.
for you. Good for you
Uh,
for going with what you wanted and not what everybody else said you
yeah,
should.
just thank you.
Go,
To the
go, go.
audience, I'm half sorry if I just began in that weird way, but okay. So welcome to a free association conversation between Lisa Grove and myself, Dr. Bach. We're both organic intelligence coaches. We help people reduce suffering and increase capacity to handle more in life with ease using the protocols of organic intelligence. Links will be in the description to learn more about each of us. Lisa is a longtime client of mine, longtime OI client of mine, and former NASA spacecraft systems engineer, a rocket scientist who worked on missions like the Galileo spacecraft to Jupiter and the Hubble Space Telescope. You can reach out to Lisa for OI sessions. You can reach out to me for OI sessions. And you can reach out to Lisa for OI sessions, just spotlighting her a little bit more because I'm unselfish.
Thank you.
Just kidding, inside joke. Don't be unselfish, it's wrong. All right. God, now I'm establishing myself to new people as kind of a strange person, but let's just move forward.
You have your own unique way of thinking, and
Yeah, I
I
have
love it.
yeah, yeah. So so getting more professional. Today our topic is what is an organic intelligence session like? And the other title that Lisa and I played with was what's it like to be an OI client? So it could be this could be about what is an organic intelligence session like what actually happens in some level of detail in a session, and also in general, what is it like to be an OI client, or what is it like to experience OI in general across sessions? So it's all open. Uh, I'm aiming here uh, for an audience who may know nothing about organic intelligence, let alone have ever worked with an organic intelligence coach. Maybe they have no experience at all with any therapy or coaching. Maybe they have experience with other approaches, CBT, DBT, psychodynamic, EMDR, IFS, somatic experiencing. It goes on forever. Um, I'm going to ask Lisa to give a brief elevator speech on organic intelligence. She in our live stream 2 weeks ago, uh, she explained organic intelligence, but for now, at least a brief elevator speech just to give us something to go on, and then start free associating on what an OI session is like, what being an OI client is like, and we'll go from there. I may share some of my own experiences also. I've been both a client and a coach for years in organic intelligence. So without further delay, thank you, Lisa, for appearing on here again. And
Well,
would you please do elevator something on organic intelligence, and then free.
elevator away. Okay, so I'm going to assume you and I are in a really long elevator ride, and you've just told me that you know about coaching and you know about therapy. What's this thing called
Okay.
organic intelligence?
Okay, but not too long of a ride. But
No, it's
okay,
short. I
okay.
mean, you just took up most of the time in the ride.
Oh,
My
got it,
piece
got it.
is really short.
Okay,
Therapy is focusing on the past. Most coaching is focusing on the future and what you want it to look like and how can you get there. Therapy helps you get away from the past. Organic intelligence sessions focus on now. What's
interesting.
happening in the moment? Because the coach in an organic intelligence session is walking beside your unconscious system. So if you say, I think I want to work on this, well, you can talk about that, but the coach is really working with your unconscious system that might have a different agenda.
Thank you. For that clear, direct elevator speech. We could talk about that more and more in the future, but would you transition now to what is it like being an organic intelligence client? What is an organic intelligence session like?
Actually, it's kind of like what we've been doing here so far. Feels like shooting the breeze. It feels like sharing, oh, this tough thing happened and I did these things afterwards. And you saying, yeah, that sounds tough. How are you doing? It's like two friends sitting and chatting.
Shooting the breeze, two friends sitting and chatting. That's what an organic intelligence session is like. Um,
On the conscious level.
on the conscious level, I have an impulse to be devil's advocate. I'm paying you my money to just kind of be have a shoot the breeze friendly chit chat, but I'm trying to heal. So from what you're
Right.
saying, I'm a little bit skeptical.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hear you there. And actually, you're paying your money reminds me when I first started therapy, and I went to therapy for 20 years and found good benefits, but it wasn't always benefit, benefit, benefit. It was mostly talking about stuff and working on stuff. But at the beginning, I felt like I was paying my therapist to listen to me because
Mm.
no one else in my life would listen past a few sentences before they shut me down or told me what I should do about it or whatever. So first thing off, an organic intelligence coach listens like a therapist listens, but the coach isn't offering advice or telling you what to do unless you're asking for that. But what you're paying the coach for is the work that they're doing to help your unconscious system get past little sticky points
Okay.
or to help your unconscious system get back to how it was before you developed this habit, say, of watching the news all day long. Every time it's in your feed, you're looking at it and going, oh no, what's wrong? I need to know more. There's still pieces of your unconscious system that remember what it used to be like before there was this continuous news feed in your hand and your phone. And the coach sees those pieces in the way your unconscious system shows up through physical motions, through emotions, through thoughts, through gestures, and subtly reinforces those little pieces so that they get to be bigger. So eventually you start noticing, hey, I'm less attracted to that 24/7 news stuff. And you can start making the conscious choice. But that's only because your unconscious system already started laying the groundwork for you to have the freedom to do that.
Interesting. So you have a case where someone is, I'm going to use the phrase doom scrolling. It sounds like you were talking about that. You didn't say
Yeah,
that, but it's not. So
right.
someone's doom scrolling, and you would be looking for unconscious phenomena that you're reinforcing that may help with whatever they're trying to accomplish, even though they don't know it's happening. Is that
Right, right, except that the person's not doom scrolling in the session.
right? Right, right.
If
That
they
they're
were,
talking.
well, that would be a different story.
Right. Are you able to recall or just manufacture a hypothetical d- detailed case, somewhat detailed about what that might look like in concrete detail? That maybe that's demanding mentally, but are you able to with no?
Well, I would say that, let me think about this one.
You mentioned movements, so I'm just dropping a tincture hint there.
Yeah, well, let's talk about movement. It's not about doom scrolling that I know of, but occasionally a coach will see some movement that a person's doing, like a little twitch, like that,
Okay.
like my shoulder,
For the audience, Lisa is lifting one of her shoulders a little bit, in
that
case.
one.
Yeah, the right one. Right.
Yeah, that's yeah, it is my right.
Yeah.
But sometimes those little twitchy things happen without the person even realizing they're going on.
Yes.
And the OI coaches are trained to look at those little twitches and think, okay, there's a point in that person's unconscious system that's sticky.
Hmm.
They don't know what the point's related to. They just know that the system seems to be trying to do something and getting stuck at that point. So the coach works to help the stickiness wash out, so to speak.
So you see a client as a client is talking about whatever. It could be doom scrolling. It could be I planted arugula in my garden yesterday. Whatever they're talking about,
Right, or the bird out the window.
the bird out the window. The you see their shoulder acting up a little bit, and you're saying that that suggests their system is trying to heal or grow, resolve something or get somewhere, but it's stuck.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
repetitive,
and in fact, in my sessions with you, as you well know, that this shoulder often does that thing, and I never see it.
Lisa is pointing to her left shoulder. I guess which
Yeah,
shoulder doesn't matter so much for the
not
audience.
not the one that I was doing it with consciously, but my other shoulder has this little twitch, but I've never seen it.
Right.
But Bach, as my coach, sometimes notices it and says, "Hey, let's work with that because something's going on there." And I can, in that slight, subtle working that we do, I can feel some stickiness softening.
During or later in life or both or
During.
during.
Well, it's hard to say. As I've been a client, an OI client with you, I've found more freedom in many areas of my life. But I couldn't tell you, oh, that freedom was related to this stickiness here.
Right.
But my unconscious system, with all of my more than 1 trillion cells, has its own intelligence. And it may have gotten stuck in the past. I mean, this stickiness right here might be related to some childhood injury that I had that my system didn't heal from completely and is still trying to.
Mm.
And if that's the case, the work that we do in session, eventually calming that spot and making it completely fluid, what's happening at the unconscious level, I think, is that things that the unconscious system would have been able to do had that area been fluid and could be passed through easily, have been backing up in a traffic jam ever since I was little and had that hypothetical injury. And when that sticky point gets fixed, loosened even a little bit, and then loosened completely, all of that traffic jam of stuff is now available for the unconscious system to work on, whatever it was. So
Interesting.
it's like, surprise, now I can do this. Oh, wait a minute, I didn't even notice that I was doing that and it was easy. And last week, and actually for several years, I haven't even been able to do that because I was just like scared of it.
So as we've done sessions and work such as working through the shoulders trying to reach certain thresholds or
Right?
if you don't know if,
Coaching language, don't worry about it.
don't worry about the word threshold. You felt more free in areas of life that you never predicted would you feel more free, but just as we're working the system, you're
Right,
feeling more capacity and free, it
right.
sounds.
But we're doing like an hour long session, and if we work on the shoulder at all, because it doesn't always show up, that's maybe a few minutes of the session. So I'm
Yeah.
feeling freedom in all these areas, but I don't know exactly what happened in the sessions to free up whatever my subconscious needed to give me that. I just know that I'm not doing any other sort of therapy or coaching or anything else, and these things are changing. And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, it must be the OI sessions.
Let me thank you for sharing so far. I'd like to add more OI content to what you're saying. So for audience, the shoulder, I don't think I've ever talked about shoulder movements in any of my videos so far or my Substack posts because it's a more technical, specialized, sometimes advanced thing in organic intelligence. And I mainly aim towards general, I repeat orientation and pleasure over and over again as much as possible. That's the most important for DIY organic intelligence. But
Right.
since we're
And let
talking,
me interject just one thing there. The techniques that your coach works with you uses when they're working with you depend on where your unconscious system is in a trajectory towards ability to be at ease without worrying about it, without having to try. When you come into a session and you're like all tense, your coach starts with orientation and pleasure and more basic things because your unconscious system can't hear any more than that.
Yeah, if I see it, I usually see shoulder movements in most clients, if not all, but I don't necessarily work with shoulder stuff with all the clients. It depends on where they are and whether they are would be able to do the shoulder work. Right. So you're mentioning that we want
Yeah.
stability. There has to be stability. And sometimes I will try and then nope, not going to work. So we'll go back to free association conversation and wait and reinforce
Right. So
up.
it's like a spectrum. If you're in the first grade, or you're in the 10th grade, or you're in a PhD program, according to the way that OI coaches see the unconscious system, they choose where to start so that you're not lost. So your unconscious system's not lost, and so that your unconscious system just continues experiencing ease. But I interrupted your.
Oh, thank you for giving me the time back. So I wanted to give more context to the shoulder work. Oh, I did mention I don't mention it much because in general in my YouTube and Substack I try to focus on essentials and DIY. But now that we're here talking about organic intelligence sessions, um, I'm going to assume that the audience knows what orientation is and that it's really important in organic intelligence. I don't want to spend time on that, on explaining that. I'm just going to assume that. But please look at my videos if you're curious. So with that in mind, the organic intelligence has a concept called the orienting architecture, and it's usually defined as anything shoulders and up. So your head, neck, and shoulders. It's the architecture of your orientation. And sometimes it's defined as torso and up, but in most formulations, it's shoulders and up. So one thing organic intelligence coaches do in organic intelligence sessions is we're monitoring the client. So nowadays on Zoom, hopefully the client at least shows their shoulders. The more, the better. And we're looking for any hitches. Yes, I require all my clients to be full body naked in all my
I was looking at my shoulders going,
yeah.
how's this?
But so we're looking for any kind of hiccups or hitches in the orienting architecture. One common one is the shoulders are trying to reach a threat, or the shoulders are kind of jerky and we're trying to smooth that out. Another is neck movements and head movements. One more example. This is getting pretty refined, and hopefully after this, we maybe get to more like basic conversational stuff, but we'll see. So, one more example would be just off the top of my head, the most recent one, or one of the most recent ones, a client, I noticed that her head would be looking to the right a little bit, and then she would be orienting, and then suddenly she would just jerk to the left and then orient. And this had been happening for quite a while, and I sensed now we're ready for us to work the movement. So I said, let's start on the right and move very slowly, move your head very slowly to the left to see if we can work out the jerky movements. And we just did it for a few minutes. And then by the next week, her orientation took like a quantum jump forward. She was orienting more in session. Her head movement was very fluid. As her head moved, her eyes moved with it, and the eyes were connected to the environment even during chronic intense pain. So you can see just working the subtle movements of the orienting architecture can produce massive benefits.
So
Okay,
she was much more unconsciously able to be present to what was going on than she had been, just because of that little thing.
yes, yes. As you organize the orienting architecture, orientation goes up. As orientation goes up, that means attention can reside in the environment, which means the attention is less hostage by the interior, which means energy is freed up for the biology to heal itself. There's a lot. Okay, that was long, but okay.
Right. So, and let me add one little piece.
Yeah.
Hopefully, this won't confuse the issue, but will help it. Orientation is looking at the environment and figuring out where you are and what's going on and just keeping tabs on stuff. And our bodies do that unconsciously without us even noticing, or at least they want to. And when we start always focusing on this or that or the other thing and being maybe hypervigilant or something, it's a conscious sort of thing, our unconscious systems aren't getting their time in to map the environment. So there's stress building inside. So there's less energy available for the unconscious automatic functions to be doing their thing.
Mm. So one thing
So
we're
so when that calms down and the what Bach's calling orientation, the looking around and it might be that the unconscious system is doing that and the person's not even noticing that, oh, their eyes went over there or they looked at this, and they might feel like it's conscious intent, but sometimes it's just the unconscious system going, oh yeah, we're here.
yes. So you're saying one thing we're doing, one thing the organic intelligence coach is doing is constantly monitoring the client for how connected they are to their environment in the
That's
moment.
another piece, yeah.
Yeah. So as they're talking about whatever they want to talk about, if in a certain moment they're more connected, they're looking out the window. Other therapists might think, oh, they're avoiding or something like that, or this is just irrelevant behavior from the client, or they should really get back to talking about their mom or their pain because
Focus, focus, focus.
focus. But looking out the window could be intensity relief, and remembering that you're in the here and now, and something else may come up, and often does. I'm getting more detailed than I had hoped that I had planned to, because I wanted to. Well, when you orient, stuff comes up in thought and sensation and image, and in general, that stuff is more potent to talk about than whatever you were talking about before. Large
Let me,
topic.
yeah,
Yeah.
let me put what you just said in another perspective. I like to think what's going on inside. What are the cells doing? What's the unconscious intelligence doing? It's got this list of things that it does for us all day long to keep us standing and talking and living and breathing. But it's also working on healing things that are broken, like healing a cold, healing a cut, healing past trauma. And so when someone's dissociated, some people might know that term. Their eyes kind of look blank. They just sort of have this stare. It's like they're here physically, but they don't seem here consciously. It's like, hello, are you there?
Yeah.
And that can be an indication that the unconscious system has run up against its boundaries and it doesn't have enough space to process whatever. So sometimes in therapy, it's like, okay, pay attention, pay attention. And what that does is it stops that dissociation, brings the person back into the present, but it also takes the time and energy away from the unconscious system for whatever it was trying to do. So
Thank
there's
you.
this inside balance going on. The unconscious system has this agenda of keeping us functioning as well as possible. And Bach was talking about the person looking out the window or looking up at the ceiling or whatever, and things coming up when they do that, and those tending to be really good things to talk about. And I think what's going on is when the person's kind of aimlessly looking around, maybe their unconscious system is saying, hey, we need to look over there, we need to look over there. But you can't tell because it's unconscious. And maybe doing that gave the unconscious system more freedom, more energy, because the energy wasn't being called on to be used consciously. And it was able to surface this thought that the person thought, oh, this just occurred to me.
Mm.
But maybe it was the unconscious system saying, hey, we're ready to work on this. This might be a good opportunity to work on it. So when you say those things are often really good to work with, that's another piece of what can be going on at the unconscious level that the OI coach
Yeah.
trains to be able to use and work with.
Yes. What happens, the thoughts and feelings and images that arise when orienting are often related to what you're trying to talk about what you are talking about consciously with your coach. But your system picked out aspects of the environment that were relevant to that complex, to that network of thoughts and
That
sensations
spot in memory.
that are often less unpleasant, less intense, more pleasant, and that is more potent for working with. It's
Right,
a
because then when you talk about that thing that came up organically, spontaneously, the unconscious system has that linked with the thing that was difficult, and when you expand the pleasure of the piece that came up like that, the unconscious system is kind of echoing that pleasure in the area that was having trouble. So there's healing going on from those echoes, if you can call them that.
and thank you. And when you mentioned dissociation, I had a thought occurred to me, which was so yes, in much traditional or mainstream advice, if someone is doing something that would be called dissociation, okay, make eye contact with me, come back, feel your feet, wash your hands, look at me in the eyes, let's talk about things and come back to reality. In organic intelligence, we are thinking, find the pleasure in dissociation. Enjoy, enjoy, enjoy. Mother and daughter at a restaurant, mother is berating her daughter, daughter is looking out at a tree. Yes, enjoy the tree. You're checking out. Your system is protecting you from overthresh, from too much intensity. And so what people are calling dissociation is benevolent, self-interested biological behavior. You are limiting too much intensity, and if there's orientation, even better.
Right, and if the person with, say I'm dissociating, with if the person with me instead follows along with what I seem to be staring at and just makes a comment about, oh, look, there's a bird out there, to my unconscious system, it might feel like, oh, that's a safe person. They see that I'm needing help and that I'm using this period to just have a little downtime.
Yeah.
And so the unconscious system relaxes a little bit more and can do more inner self healing.
Leaving someone alone, backing, or, oh, I've been talking a lot. I see that that person is kind of looking away. How about maybe I will talk less, leave them alone. Maybe we'll do some parallel play. I'll be on my phone so that they see that I'm on my phone and that I'm not expecting or needing eye contact or conversation, and they can talk when they want, or they can just do their thing. They can sit there, do their thing, and I'll do my thing, and then maybe at some point they'll look at me and say something again.
Right, it's sort of like very subtle behavioral. Okay, it's fine that you need that space. I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm with you. But I'm not saying, "Hey, I need your energy. Come back and pay attention to me." I'm just here.
Yes. Can I may I go back to with a few minutes left? I'd like to go ask you about one thing. In the beginning, you said, well, an organic intelligence session is like shooting the breeze, two friends talking, as opposed to, I assume the implicit contrast would be a more rigoristic or intensive therapist on client kind of thing. Uh, would you be able to share what does it mean to shoot the breeze, or what does two friends talking, what could you characterize that? I think it's we're familiar with it in some sense, but if it could be
Yeah, I think it's if you have a friend who you know is always with you, no matter what you're talking about, they're never saying, "Hey, stop talking about that. Let's talk about this instead."
Hmm.
You can talk about whatever's coming to mind. If you're in the middle of a thought and this other thought occurs and you're like, "Oh, I want to express that. It's so interesting." So you just stop what you're talking about and you talk about that other thing. The OI coach follows you. Doesn't say, "Hey, let's get back on topic." But it
Yeah.
follows because maybe what's happening is your unconscious system is moving your attention or providing you with something else that you can notice consciously that might be an avenue that's more helpful
Hmm.
somehow. So
Yeah.
unlike in therapy where you're talking about your problem or whatever and the therapist is saying, okay, let's get back on subject. The OI coach is like, oh, okay, the subject changed. No big deal. That's probably a good thing because probably something is happening below the
Oh,
surface. We're following that.
that's interesting. What just came up for me is we have to. By the way, okay. I'm a little bit mixed because we should end soon. So what just came up for me is in in shooting the breeze in two friends chatting. Uh, Typically, friends are not looking for each other's defenses or pain points or what topics are you avoiding or are you avoiding your feelings. A friend may say, "I'm feeling
Or
bad," and then
defects.
why don't we get a donut? Or it's just whereas in mainstream therapy, it's very much we can have a free association conversation, like talk about whatever you want to talk about. Meanwhile, I'm going to be monitoring and analyzing, and I have these categories I'm trying to fill, and then that will determine how we're looking for what promotes comfort.
Yeah.
It's in the direction of orientation and pleasure.
From the viewpoint of the unconscious system of the person who's the client. Obviously, we start with the conscious, but if they seem to go off and just be looking around, maybe that's the unconscious, and the OI coach
Yes.
follows that too.
I think we kicked up a lot of interesting content that could be pursued, different future directions to
Yeah, and
pursue.
it didn't end up being as simple as I
Well, that's all.
It's hard. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
for
it's
me,
always like that.
an OA session is shooting the breeze, and I often forget that there's actually probably intervention happening on the coach's part, you.
Yeah.
Unless we're doing that movement thing, which doesn't happen very often. Usually it just feels like chatting with a friend. But
This,
I'm noticing profound changes, so hey, I'll take it.
yes, yes. Profound changes through prioritizing free association conversation, orientation, pleasure, following what is happening in the client that looks like it's in an organizing
Spontaneous
direction. And
organism.
I didn't define organizing, but I'll just leave it there as a mystery for now. Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe we continue this, in the future with different threads in future topics.
We'll see if we can stay on thread.
Yeah, well, fat chance. Okay, so any last words, Lisa, on what it's like to be an OI client?
I love it because I can talk about whatever I want.
Mm.
I don't have to think, okay, what's my coach, therapist, whoever going to listen to? I don't have to think about, oh, what don't I want to mention, because I don't want them to jump on it and go, oh, we need to work on that.
Oh, yeah, nice.
It's just free. I mean, obviously I had to get to know you first and to begin to trust you, but whatever comes up, I can talk about. And I know that because Bach is working with my unconscious system, and I know that I've seen profound changes because of whatever that work is, because I don't know when he's doing interventions. I just get to, as a client, to shoot the breeze.
Right, right.
And stuff starts happening.
Yeah. I had this memory of I would like to end after I says okay, I said I would give you the last word, but let me give myself the last word. So like in surgery, if you're nervous about if you don't like needles and they have to give the anesthesia to you and you're scared about that, some nurse will come over and have conversation with you like, oh, what do you like to eat, or what do you do for a living, and then while they're doing the needle so that you don't feel it. So the intervention
Right,
is
except that the intervention in OI is never as painful as a needle.
right. And there's more integration between what they're talking about and the intervention. So I'm not saying it was a perfect analogy. It was in the moment. I'm not saying it
Yeah,
was okay. Okay. Thank you, Lisa. I look forward to the next one. Yep.
me too.